Okay, well, welcome to Tech Wednesday and Happy New Year. That is the last time I'm saying that. So if I haven't met you until now, I'm sorry, but that is the last time it's happening. How many new guys have we got in the room tonight? Oh, well, welcome to Tech Wednesday. I hope we make you feel welcome and you have a great time. If you're looking to be introduced to people, come and speak to myself or any of the girls that you've seen on the desk. And during networking time, we'll try and connect you up to anyone that you want to meet with. So, first off, as you can see, we have this fantastic Twitter wall. That's actually my mum retweeting one of my tweets there. Parental support. Please include the relative hashtags and follow us via the relative names and get involved in the conversation. Easy. So some first boring but crucial information. There is no fire drill planned for this evening. Thank goodness. The bad news is, if the fire alarm goes off, there's probably a fire, in which case we need to exit the building in a calm and orderly fashion out of any of the doors that open. So all the doors open when there's a fire. We'll just probably exit out of this one, and we'll all go on the road outside. Anybody got any questions about that? Make sure your safety is covered. So first and foremost, what is E4F? How many of you guys know about E4F, been involved in E4F in this room in any way, shape, or form? Some nice hands up there. So E4F is actually the project behind Tech Wednesday. It's one of our fantastic incubator programs that we have here at Innovation Birmingham Campus. It provides a wealth of support. In fact, I think I've actually got a slide that Lee made for me next. Yay, there it is. Okay, so E4F is our incubator for innovative, exciting, disruptive, tech and digital-focused startups. Oh, don't know what happened there. It offers 9 months free space. You can have mentorship. We line you up with an EIR to help you guide you through your business plan, your business model, getting your idea to market. We can help you find access to finance. You have access to these fabulous facilities 24/7. We deliver over 80 events a year, so that's workshops, mentoring sessions, fun events like this, big conferences like a blockchain conference that we are developing in April. You'll get free tickets to come to things like that. And you also get free hot desking space for 9 months. That is just to make sure we give you a nice bed for you to get yourself ready, get yourself market ready, and hopefully just really embed yourself in the great community that we have here in Birmingham. If you want to know anything else about that, where's Lee? Is she here? There she is at the back, giving us a wave. So Lee usually does this bit. Lee has very recently graduated onto our one other fantastic incubator projects, which is Climate Kick. So that is for clean tech-focused startups. So if you're into anything like that, again, speak to Lee. She will look after you for that. And then, how to apply for such a fantastic program. Obviously, visit our website. You can ring that number or, once again, speak to Lee. You can also speak to me at the end, or you can speak to Katie on the front desk. Any of us can put you in touch with the right people. So what's coming up next month? Next month, we have Women in Tech. I don't know how many of you have come to our Women in Tech events. Oh my goodness, this is a brand new audience. Well, Women in Tech is fantastic. We started doing about 2 years ago, and it's just a brilliant platform to allow women to get on stage and to talk about what they're doing within the industry. And just show some really interesting viewpoints, whether it's the projects that they're working on, what they bring to tech-focused businesses, statistics, all sorts. It's a really great night. If you are a boy, please come along. It's not girls only. It's just highlighting some of the great stuff women are doing in tech. That is the 15th of February. We hope you sign up for that. Details will be up on Meetup about that tomorrow. If you have anybody interested in talking or being a part of anything like that, please come and speak to me again at the end. How many of you have these fabulous sticker badges? Oh, I can see most of you. This is good. Some people try and swindle out of that. So this is just to help you network a bit easier. If you're your first time, you have a gold star. If it is your first time and you don't have a gold star, don't worry, we can fix that. Just go and collect one at the front. The colors are to help you figure out what kind of things you're looking for. It's pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you have any questions, speak to any of us here and we'll help point you in the right direction. On to our speakers. So tonight we have 3 fabulous speakers, 2 of which have been involved with Innovation Birmingham Campus for a number of years, in and out. So again, great people to go to for questions. They've got some fantastic stories in their startup journey, well worth getting to know these guys better. We have Mike Bandar and Sam. We have Will, and then we have Brian, who is new tonight. This is the first time I've ever met Brian, so I'm very interested to see what he's got to talk about. They've each got 10 minutes each. I will be timing them. Pizza is due to arrive at 7. I do not want it cold. After their talks, you'll have 5 minutes Q&A. We'll come around with a mic. I know you don't want to talk in this because it's scary, but for us at the front, it's really hard to hear you guys if you're at the back. So please help us out with that. And then after that, we'll break up, have pizza, network, and chat. But before then, Kath Preston. So this is something we do at Tech Wednesdays. We quite often give somebody, one team, one company, one project, a 1-minute pitch at the start of the night. They get to share their news and information to the rest of you. Kath is going to tell us about a fantastic incubator project launching right now here in iCentrum.
Thank you. Hi everyone. So I won't take up much of your time, but on top of all that fantastic stuff already going on, we're launching another startup program here in this building. It's backed by London Midland. I'm sure most of you are familiar with them, get their trains, and it's going to be specific to the rail industry. So if anyone's working on any projects that can, maybe work in rail specifically or can be applied to rail, then we'd love to hear from you. We're looking at projects that kind of improve the overall customer experience. So if that's kind of your aim, then we think there's a good alignment with London Midland as well. We're offering office space, mentoring, kind of insight from London Midland, a chance to do pilots with them and integrate into what they're already doing, some cash prizes, and a whole load of other stuff, a free rail pass for 6 months. So if anyone's interested, or you know someone else who might be, head to londonmidlandlabs.com. Or get in touch with the guys here at Innovation Birmingham, and they'll help you out as well. That's it.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. I'm Mike, and this is Sam, and we're from the social influencer agency called realtime. Before we start, does anyone know about influencer marketing? Cool. A good amount for us to look interesting enough to the rest of you. Most importantly, we want to talk to you about how this game and marketing in general is just totally changing.
Hello, everyone. First of all, are there any online marketers out there at all? Anyone involved in selling online? Yeah, a few of you. Great. Well, we are as well, and I've got some interesting news for you all. We're all absolutely fucked. The reason why? What's the reason why? Because no one cares anymore. Literally no one cares anymore. That top banner ad that you can see there was actually the world's first ever banner ad. It was produced by AT&T over 20 years ago. And on the day that it was released, it received a staggering 44% click-through rate. This banner ad here, that's an AT&T ad from 2016. On the day of its release, it received a 0.004% click-through rate. Why is that? It's because we have developed a blindness to digital advertising. Think about it. When was the last time you clicked on one of the first few links on Google? You just don't do it, do you? I genuinely can't remember the last time that I did. We're actively seeking out ways in which to block ads out of our lives. Take an ad blocker, for example. Do you know that 1 in 5 people have an ad blocker enabled 24/7? And us as millennials, we're actually giving up on click-throughs altogether. We just don't want anything to do with them because we feel like we're being sold to. We see something that we can click through, and we don't want anything to do with it. We think sales.
So this isn't a new thing. For years and years, in every other medium, we've got used to seeing advertising and tried to avoid it. So what's the solution? We've seen it happen time and time again. Take print, for example. Back in the day, all the advertising in print, magazines and newspapers were largely in the back, in the classified ads, where it would be quite clearly pasted as advertising. And if people wanted to find products or services, they'd go there to look. Then as soon as we started to realize that actually these people have another agenda rather than telling us about great products, they weren't looking as much into that. So we had to integrate it into other pages within the magazine. Then people got more used to that, so we then had to integrate it even more and make it more organic. So now we can read a lovely article here about honey and not quite know whether it's even an advertorial or an editorial. The same thing happened in film. Gone are the days where you go to the cinema and you watch the adverts before the film. Now, every single time you're watching a film, there's loads of marketing messages integrated in. James Bond is a classic example where you can't move for positioning of Sony or Heineken or Bad previously, Omega, whatever that may be. And exactly the same thing has happened in digital, which I know most of us are more interested in. So we see it every day now when we're scrolling through the Sun or the Mail Online, which I know everybody does, but no one will actually admit to it. The bottom of the advertiser or the bottom of the article where it suggests the next content for you to read, it's not actually real content. It's all just adverts. And constantly we're trying to make things more and more organic. Now, Real Tribe is part of a group of companies called Turn Partners, who we have some Team Turn in here tonight. And we're essentially a startup studio focused on the acquisition and turnaround of digital businesses. So for the last 4 years, we've worked across different products, one of which is Toy Boy Warehouse, which is, no prizes for guessing, a cougar and toy boy dating business. And 18 months ago, we launched a company called Hopper, which is one of the world's only scheduling tools for Instagram. So over the last 18 months with Hopper, we've worked with the world's biggest brands to help them better manage their social media presence. Brands like Netflix, Gap, Sony Music, Skechers use Hopper. And we started to notice that they're interacting very differently with brands, and it's changing, with their audience, and it's changing day to day. We also work with lots of different influencers who have huge social media following. And it was only when we realized that a lot of our brands, instead of paying for the traditional ads on Facebook and Google, are now starting to pay for influencers, that we thought there was an opportunity. And that's when we started Real Tribe.
So when we started, we looked at the question, what actually is marketing? And a couple of months ago, James from Turn Partners, he bought Mike a light bulb for his birthday. It's actually a really cool light bulb. You can control it from your phone. You might have checked them out before. Mike would not stop going on about this thing, right? He's taking videos of it. He's telling us how it's changed his life, how it's helped him get up in the morning, go to bed at night. So I decided to buy one for my friend James for Christmas. And James thought I was completely insane when he opened it, and he sees I bought him a light bulb. But he really enjoyed it, and he made a video, and he sent it to me of him using it. And I showed my mum, and Mum thought it was great as well. A couple of weeks ago, Mum gets in touch with me and she says, "Hey Sam, can you send me the link for where you bought the light bulb from? Because I want to buy one for your brother-in-law." So I sent it to her. Now today, standing here, I now know of 4 people that have got one of those light bulbs because James bought one for Mike and Mike wouldn't shut up about it.
I hope they appreciate that.
And that really is the bare bones of marketing.
So if we look at what marketing actually is, it's that. It's actually the awareness piece. It's about using trust between people. It's about sharing information about products or servicing, encouraging people to actually enjoy things and buy new products. So essentially what influencer marketing is, it's not the next step of marketing. It's almost back to the first step of marketing. It's utilizing that very fabric of what marketing is and utilizing the relationships that already exist on social media and already the conversations that are already happening between people and their audiences, but utilizing brands' messages within that. So by Sam's story there, you kind of think, what is an influencer? I'm an influencer, every one of us is an influencer. And to some extent, that's relatively true. But when we're looking at influencer marketing campaigns, it's all about having relationships, but at scale. It's about people who are the center points of communities or interest groups that actually hold a lot of trust with their audience. The difference between influencer marketing and celebrity marketing, which a lot of people confuse, is that influencers tend to be a lot more accessible than celebrities. Yes, celebrities can get a huge amount of awareness, but actually if I'm an influencer or if you're an influencer that I follow on social media, I often feel like I'm more integrated and part of your life. So if you start using a product and I can talk to you about it through the comments, then actually that becomes part of our story and our relationship. What the main difference with influencer marketing is to any other form of marketing, and why we believe it's a really important part of your marketing mix, is that gone are the days where we are brands speaking to consumers, whether that's digital products, physical products, services. If a brand is constantly telling a consumer to buy, we will end up with ad blindness, and that's exactly what's happened. But what the influencers do is they sit in the middle of brand and audience relationships, and they essentially act as curators of information. On a lot of the campaigns we run, our influencers will say, I'll promote it, but I want to tell the audience that I'm being paid to promote it. And they'll start a YouTube video being, guys, I'm being paid to say this to you, but it doesn't actually change how I feel about this product. Look at this new lip balm. And the fact that the audience has the trust with the influencer, and they're reinforcing that trust by being honest with them, they're fully brought into that, and the influencer curates the information and products which they pass on to them. It actually works out much more effective.
So now you know what influencers are. We're going to give you our top 5 tips on actually how to use them. First of all, be goal-driven. It's so important that you know your goals, but also that the influencer does. The more information you can give the influencer and the more you can actually lay down in front of them to hold them accountable, the better, especially if you're looking to build a long-term relationship and potentially use them more than once. It's really important. Second of all, give them some creative freedom. And I know that's a little bit terrifying to some people. You know, it's like your brand and you care about it. But the influencers have actually built their followers. They know them. They know who they are. And they know how to talk to them. They know how to best talk to them in an authentic way to get what you want across. Third, choose your influencers wisely. There are people out there that will literally work with any brand. Literally any brand. And then you talk to them, you're like, why do you want to work with me? Oh, I love you, your brand's amazing. You look at their followers, they're completely irrelevant. Like they would not be interested at all. They're interested in the money. Second of all then, you need to actually authenticate their followers because people buy them, which is the same as basically buying thin air. They're pointless. They're useless. So be really careful about that. And give the influencers some time. These are not always business people. They get delayed in getting back to you. Some of them have full-time jobs. And, I mean, they can take a long time just to even reply to an email. We had a campaign a short while ago where somebody actually got back to us 4 weeks after the campaign had finished to say, hey, yeah, great, we'd love to be involved.
Number 4 is about featuring, not star. Now, influencers can be really expensive to run a campaign for. I actually spoke to a 17-year-old today who has about 400,000 followers, and he will not post a video on his YouTube channel for less than £12,000, which is it's absolutely extortionate, and it's not in all industries. But that means that a brand paying that, they think, I want to be all over this video. I want it named after my brand. I want logos in the corner. But that's not actually how influencer marketing works. It's all about carefully integrating the brand into the narrative that this influencer usually comes across. So if you look at the 2 examples here of Nutella, about 6 months ago, did anyone see that video went around of a guy bathing in Nutella? Oh, you missed a treat. A couple of you. I mean, it got so many views, it went absolutely everywhere, but it didn't really inspire people to think, oh, I'd love some Nutella right now. And it's because they pushed it too hard. Whereas Casey Neistat does some integrations with Nutella, and he doesn't mention it as a brand, even though it looks like it does in the screenshot, but he'll integrate it into his daily life, where actually he's talking to his kids and they're eating Nutella and talking about how much they like it. Well, I'm being time-checked, we're nearly done. And number 5 is about curating your channels. So after we've decided exactly what we want from an influencer campaign, it's all about making sure we've got the right influencers and we're communicating with them in the right way. So if we're educating about something entirely new, then a longer form, richer video content might be better on YouTube. Whereas if we're trying to remind people to go to an action, then maybe shorter form things on Instagram could be good. One of our main clients is Uber. We do all of the influencer marketing for Uber across the UK and Ireland. But for that, because everyone knows Uber, Instagram's much more effective for the campaign. So there you are. If you're looking to do influencer marketing, don't be put off by the 12 grand price tag I just mentioned. It's stuff you can do at a lot lower rate on your own as well. But think about being goal-driven, give the influencers creative freedom, choose them wisely, feature, don't star, and also curate your channels carefully. I'm Mike, and this is Sam. Thank you very much for listening, and we'd love to talk more.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Thanks very much. How do you find your influencers in the first place?
Sure. So we use a mix of different things. We always start. We do this process. So what's the demographic that we're trying to get to, and then we work backwards in terms of where can those influencers be. So we have a target list of who those influencers might be, and then a lot of it actually is quite manual. So we will look through social media, we'll put ourselves in the mind of that demographic, see what they follow. We've actually recently worked on a campaign to launch a radio station for builders, and to do that we go and speak to builders, and we say, can we look through your social and see what you follow? And then that gives you a better idea. But because we have campaigns like Uber, we're constantly onboarding new influencers, and then you build up a bit of a database. But if you're looking to do it yourself, just put your eye in your demographic, go through what they would go through on their social, and just see how you're impacted.
Thanks. Any more? One more.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Oh,
one more.
yes. He nearly missed it. He's just coming there.
Hello. So I work in digital marketing at an agency. We've got quite a range of clients, and we read the blogs, and so we read about influencer marketing and that type of thing. But when we come to apply it to our clients, it's quite difficult, because our clients are things like pallet racking companies, or they sell industrial mixers. And we read about all these great ideas, but have you got any advice for how we could apply it to sort of, industrial industries and that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key thing, similar, is always go back to the demographic that you're targeting. And when we're looking at influencer marketing, a lot of people are thinking of the Casey Neistats, the people with multi-million subscribers on YouTube. There's lots of different ranges within that. So quite often we find if we work with more micro-influencers, sometimes people with just 10,000 followers that are so heavily targeted into a niche that you get a much bigger response rate from that. So don't be scared to go small with it. The relationship there does convert more into ambassador as well as influencer, but it gives you the opportunity to then build longer term relationships. Two interesting clients we're working with at the moment is iWalker, which is the loans for small businesses, which is sort of industry based, and also Dyson Commercial, which are basically selling hand dryers to businesses and stuff. So we structure out who they're targeting, and we can find maybe 5 influencers for each one of them, and they might be building regulators, and remember that blogs who have social channels can also be influencers as well. So it's thinking outside of the box of what you read. If you're reading the same blogs as us, it's all about Kim Kardashian posting lipstick and stuff, but there's a lot more focus than that. So
thank you.
Any more?
Got one for one more?
No?
One more.
Sorry.
You got time for one more.
Is it too ambitious to say, actually, what we'll try and do is become a micro-influencer ourselves, because we know our industry really well. It's industrial. It's not sexy or glam. It's not retail. It's not, direct to public. It is business to business, and therefore trying to establish ourselves as a micro-influencer. Is that too ambitious, or is that?
So you're talking about yourself?
Yeah.
What industry are you in?
It's IoT, actually, connectivity between devices.
Absolutely not. No, I think that's great, and I think actually because there's a huge appetite now for these niche industrial-based influencers, if you can continue to build your audience and be focused, there's people that will pay for that. I think that the whole rise of influencer marketing, what it has done is boosted a lot of opportunity for really fantastic content curators who have these amazing relationships with their audience to essentially monetize and extend that relationship that they have. It also makes that other people are doing it less authentically. But if you're already doing that, I think maintaining the authenticity whilst you're building at scale, absolutely can do that. I think it's a great idea. Also great for your brand as well, obviously. Great. We're around. If you can speak to me without pizza on my mouth, then that would be preferable, but we'd love to chat if anyone else wants to.
Great. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michael. Brill. Right. Tech are just going to come up and do their switcheroo. Will, are you okay to introduce yourself and get those things going while Chris does some plugs for you?
Yes. I don't need that. Is this mine?
He doesn't need no clicker. Ready?
Hello. Hi. Saw the potato in the post guy on the Twitter feed there. It's always a treat. Oh, it's nice to be back. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you hopefully for about 10 minutes, about 25 minutes, and I'm going to try and convince you of a couple of things, and I'm going to ask you to help me with something as well. So it's about passwords. This is really interesting. Passwords are really interesting because they protect everything that you do online. And if you think about the kind of stuff that you've got out there, financial information, nudes, all the stuff that you've got in iCloud, it's all protected by a little password. So let's talk about passwords. So my name's Will. You might know me from a previous startup I was involved with called Droplet, which was a payments platform. We raised about £3 million and then crashed it into the sea in a ball of flames. So that was good. But I learned a lot. That's the important thing. Now I'm at D4. D4 is a software company. We build a couple of different products. These are tools for developers. So everything we do is focused into this niche of we're developers building tools for other developers. We have a product called QueryTree, which is a reporting tool. And we have a product called Sequelizer, which is the internet's biggest SQL migration tool. Yeah. Normally you get a cheer for that. Thanks. It's the West Midlands' biggest SQL migration tool. And Sequelizer started as a side project. We built it simply for fun. It's a script that you upload a file to and it turns it into a database, right? We built it for fun. Now it does thousands and thousands of migrations a day. We have upwards of 20,000 monthly users, and we charge a certain amount of those users $10 a month. And it came out of a side project. So we thought, let's do another side project for developers, and that's what this talk's about. So onwards, passwords are the worst of both worlds. They are really hard for humans to remember, and they're easy for computers to guess in what is called a brute force attack. So some of this talk will be massively patronizing if you're a nerd, and incomprehensible if you're not. So I've tried to really go in the middle ground where nobody will get anything out of this. So this is a brute force attack. So what we're doing here is we're trying to log into the administrator account on a server. And you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a whole list of words. And this is all a brute force attack is. Brute force attack tries your username and then a password, and then another password, then another password, over and over and over again until it logs into your account. But the thing is, it doesn't do A, B. It uses some really smart rules. Brute forcing tools now are really good. And chances are your password is rubbish. And I'll come on to that in a moment. Yeah, your password is rubbish. So you think your password is probably good, but it's not rubbish. And this is the interactive part of the demo. So what I've got here, this is a realistic password strength checker. So this checks your password by using brute force tools against it. So let's just quickly give you an example. We'll try the old password. Password 123. Okay, so password 123 can be cracked in less than a second. And that's because it's got a dictionary word and it's got some numbers on the end. Okay, so then, well, let's try something a bit weirder. Engineering, longer word. Again, less than a second. Okay, but I'm really clever, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all the letters with numbers. So engineering. Yeah, turns out the brute force tools know about that trick, and swapping 1 for an I and 3 for an E is pretty easy, and that can be cracked in less than a second. So even when you get complex with your passwords, they're probably still rubbish. The only passwords that are actually any good are ones like this. So that's 51 years or centuries if they've done the right kind of hashing on it. But obviously, you're never going to be able to remember that password. If you are, then you're some sort of idiot savant, like in Rain Man. Why can't I switch window? Ah, there we go. I don't know how to use a computer. But don't worry. It's all good because the government's got your back. This is the HM government Cyber Aware program. Now, we all know how good the government are at information technology, and they've recommended here that we go for the password CCATEEK, which is cracked in less than a second, I found. But it also says, numbers and symbols can be used, however, 3 random words is the key to creating a strong password. It's probably not. This one's great, American Express. This password protects your account and thousands of pounds worth of credit. It says on the right-hand side there, I don't know if you can see it, it says it cannot have any spaces and can only include a few special characters there. So if you wanted to use multiple words, you couldn't even do that because it doesn't let you do spaces. This one's my favorite. So this is HSBC, one of the biggest banks in the world. It's got to be between 6 and 30 characters, and it's got to use @ hyphen, space, apostrophe, or full stop. So if you're writing a brute force tool, you know exactly what attack space to target. HSBC users are between 6 and 30 with these special characters. You could probably run through them all in, a couple of hours. Ridiculous. But don't worry, this leads to this kind of thing. It's one of my favorite ones. So Prince William was photographed in some publicity shots when he was an RAF pilot. On the background, on the wall, is the password for the military network. People end up writing passwords down because they can't remember them. But if they can remember them, computers can guess them, so they're useless. This is a fun bit. Your password has probably already been leaked. So I wanted to this is another interactive demo. This is a really interactive session. So this is a website called Have I Been Pwned? And what they've done is they've collected together 2 billion hacked accounts from various, I'm nearly done. Oh, fine, okay. They've collected together 2 billion hacked accounts and made them searchable. So if I type in, I'm sure a lot of you have got this. I've got like a throwaway Gmail account that I use for spam and signing up for websites and stuff, right? So I don't read anything that goes there, but let's have a quick check. Boom. It was leaked from Adobe in 2013 and Dropbox in 2012. So my password's out there. Luckily, I've changed my password several times since then. But, David Hardman runs this place. He's in charge of iCentrum and of like all of the science parks in the world. Have a quick look. Boom! But you get my point. Passwords have probably been leaked. It's not your address. I know it's not your address. I did it for effect. Okay, password managers, right? So this is interesting. So password managers, little plugins that go in your browser. They store your password in the cloud, and they let you pre-fill password forms. And you've got like 1Pass, LastPass, those kinds of things, right? The problem with password managers is that they're not easy to use. They're good for us guys, right? For nerds and stuff. But for your mum or your grandma, they're not going to use a password manager. This is a depiction of a user trying to use a password manager. If you've ever done any user testing in the field, you'll know what it's like working with users. They're those kind of, apparently users live right at the end of the chain, and they actually use the stuff that we make. And this is how they behave in the real world. Okay, so let's fix passwords. Now, I know that the road to password glory is littered with the corpses of many startups. Lots of people have tried this before and failed, but we think we've cracked it. So it's got to be secure, and it's got to be usable. Secure and usable. It's the magic link. So I don't know if you've used this before, but lots of modern services like the Medium app, Mondo, Slack have a thing called magic link sign-in. So you type in your email address, you type in no password. Oh, there's a demo of it here. So you type in your email address. There is no password field. I think I accidentally clicked it. Clicked it. And then once you've clicked it, it says, go and check your email. So you go and furiously refresh your email. Oh, here's a magic link. And when you click the magic link, come on, suspense. You're signed in. Fantastic. So that's how magic link sign-in works. You've probably used it on a bunch of different services. It's a bit like forgot password, but there is no password. So that's what we've built. It's a magic link authentication as a service. You never need to build authentication ever again. The idea is that in the same way that developers build MailChimp in if they want to send mails, they build Stripe in if they want to take payments. We're hoping that people will build Lastword in when they want to authenticate users. And the benefits are many. I've written them on a slide, so you can read them and then just ignore me while they're on the screen. But you get to write less code. The best code is no code. You can't make any mistakes. You can onboard users quickly. They haven't got to mess around with a password. You don't store any user credentials. So if you get hacked, there's nothing to leak. And finally, it helps users be more secure because they're not writing passwords down on bits of paper and taping them to their monitor. So those are the things that I hopefully convinced you of. The question is, would you like to help us by joining our beta? It's going to be free forever. We are doing a solemn free forever promise. If you're a developer, please sign up to the beta. We're launching in a couple of days, and you'll be able to try it out. Thank you for listening. Wasn't prepared for questions.
I'm on now.
Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions?
Hello.
Hello, Mike.
That's great. How long does a link last for?
So the links, that's configurable. You can make the links last for a short or long time. But the interesting thing about that is you can set longer expiry cookies for your customers because you know that they've signed in more securely. You haven't got to sign them out every sort of 30 minutes or an hour. You can afford to set longer expiry times, so they have to do this less frequently. We're also doing an SMS route as well. So if you're on a mobile phone, you can just get the little alert banner pop down, you tap it, and you can sign in from an SMS link as well.
So you'd stay on
You only
the
get one
page.
question, Mike. What was the second question?
No, with the SMS, your answer led to a question. Sorry, guys.
I'm only kidding.
So with the SMS thing, you press the link and then it opens in your browser? Or?
It'll either open in your browser, or you can optionally include what's called an app schema, which is like app name : / and that'll open the app on your iPhone or Android phone and sign you straight in.
Cool.
I will.
Hello there.
What was my question? Oh, yeah. What about your email, though? So surely you need a password to get into
Yeah,
your
you need
email.
a password for your email, and you need two-factor on your email as well, and that kind of applies already. You know, your email is like, it's your skeleton key into everything. If you hack someone's email, you've got everything. You can do password resets on every service they've got. So yeah, your email should be like decent password. It should be two-factor with a mobile phone SMS message. If you don't have two-factor turned on in your email, go and turn two-factor on like now when you get home. That's like the best thing you can do. Turn on two-factor. Protect your nudes.
Any more questions?
Hi, I use two-factor authentication for most of my services, and I hate how long it takes. I really don't like faffing around. I really like logging into apps with my fingerprint. How safe is that?
Fingerprint, it's really good. It's really good. I actually haven't explored any of the Android stuff at all, but I know that the iOS stuff is extremely secure. Developers don't really have access to the inner workings of it. You just get to ask the phone to authenticate someone, and it's all kind of closed source. It's kept in a secure compute module in the phone. It's really secure, so I would recommend Thumbprint. See, for example, when the FBI had that big battle with Apple about unlocking a phone.
I will. Well, Willie.
Oh, hello.
So what happens if I have you as the sole door to my product and then you go out of business?
Yeah, so we thought about this. We're doing a few things. So number one we're doing is it's going to be free forever. So there's a free forever plan. Probably will have paid plans eventually, but we will always provide a free version. And number two, we let you export your users at any time. So we don't want developers to feel locked in. We want people to be able to go and, you know, if they're the admin for this product, to go to the control panel and export all their users out if they want to. We hope people won't leave because we're good. That's the idea. Password 123.
Hi. A question. Why just not use single sign-on or OAuth for that? Because it's already a lot of platforms support it, and it's easy to integrate. You don't need to store any user credentials as well.
You do need to store the OAuth tokens, though. That's the issue. So
that's a session. It's what do you mean by token?
So when someone's so we could bolt OAuth onto this. So this could be an OAuth provider. The OAuth lets you. The idea is that you haven't got to build the authentication system for your app. All we're doing, we're an authentication provider and a session provider as well.
They still have to integrate because you have to authenticate user associate with your database user. So that's a functionality, really.
So we're building.
You can just get a library. It's billions of them for every language. Just get tokens from Google for your app, and you've done.
Yeah. Okay. That is the end.
Is that question dead?
I'm going to talk to him later because I don't fully understand
question?
Some of the implications.
That's cool. We get that. We have pizza time discussions. That's what it's there for.
Pizza time.
We have one more fabulous question waiting.
Sure, it's fabulous.
Can it not be as hard as the last one?
Yes.
Given that paid-for services struggle to survive, how is it you can build a sustainable business model on a free forever platform?
The free forever plan is branded. If you want to take our branding off, you've got to pay. So the idea is that side projects and hack days can use it for free, but if you're running a serious service, you're not going to want our brand on the bottom of the emails. So it is very much a paid service. But we do offer a free forever plan.
I like it. Any other questions? Oh my goodness. What a fantastic
When are the
start to the
William
year,
G
guys.
tie and
This is
blazer
the bar.
sets available?
All right, so just on your last point then, so the free forever plan for beta users, would that be the branded version or the unbranded version?
Branded, but for you, I'm sure we could take the branding off.
Champion.
Right, excellent. Will, thank you very much. We'll let you
Thanks.
sit down, get a glass of water. Thank you. Whew, that was a lot to take in. Everyone having a good time? Tough crowd, tough crowd. Well, we're on the home stretch now. Final 15 minutes before pizza arrives. Brian, are you ready for this? We're ready.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I realise that I'm up against it this evening because you're all guys that are gals that are entrepreneurs and are interested in making a lot of money. And I'm going to talk to you about a volunteer project that does everything for nothing and gives away everything that it does. And the other confession I've got to make is I have absolutely no idea how you can make money out of any of this stuff. We just produce the data and tip it out, and it's up for you guys to exercise your collective brains to work out how can you make money out of what I consider to be one of the best free platforms in the world, which should never have worked. It started with a blank sheet of paper. We've got a bunch of volunteers who have cycled, walked, kayaked, climbed mountains, gone in canal boats all over the world and made a completely free map, which is probably as accurate, if not more accurate, than organisations that spend billions of dollars on this stuff, like national mapping agencies and a certain company that I don't really want to talk about who resides in Southern California. So OpenStreetMap, how many of you here have actually contributed to OpenStreetMap? Right, so I've really got a lot of great recruits to get to go out. You can have a wonderful time going out and mapping the world. Now, first of all, is a real-time map possible? Now, there are two different aspects to a real-time map. One is when you get a physical change in the environment, it gets mapped, immediately that changes, or at least on the same day as it changes. That's what I really want to talk about. But there's also the other aspect, can I display real-time data from things that inhabit and move around on a map, which is a separate problem. It's an easier problem to crack because all you need is a base layer map. The accuracy of it is your choice, and then you make your stuff move, and I've got some interesting examples of that. Real-time mapping has never, ever been achieved anywhere in the world. The biggest frustration with using any maps, whether it's paper or online, is they are never up to date because it's a huge problem to track. And it takes an awful lot of people and an awful lot of resource to get an accurate map really, really up to date. And I'm hoping that this sort of vision, which is crazy, is it possible? And the second question is it actually necessary? And I hope that it's not going to be like the mythical project where people kept saying, well, I can do a map at 1 to 10,000. Well, no, I'll do a map at 1 to 5,000. I'll beat you, I'll do a map at 1 to 2,000. And the map gets more and more accurate until the guy comes up and says, right, I'm going to do a map at 1 to 1, until somebody points out, well, the farmers will never let you unfold it because it will blot out the landscape. Think about it. Okay, so we've got a great map. That's Birmingham. It's finished, isn't it? It's great. You couldn't be more wrong. There is so much data that hasn't been entered into that map. And the other thing I should mention is that that is a map that is rendered in a particular cartographic style. Probably 50% of the data that's in that map doesn't make it there because it will be a cartographic mess. Now, we give you access to the data. We don't give you access to a map like everybody else does. We give you the raw data, and you get it in XML format. It's then up to you. You can make a map look like anything you want. So if you want the motorways to be blue, and you want the rivers to be pink, and you want the roads blocked out, and you want it to look like something else, you can do that. You can layer your own data on top of it as well. But the problem with that map is it's a snapshot. It's as good as the last person who walked or cycled down that street and noted down a feature. Now, when you go and map the construction sites, there's an awful lot of development going on in Birmingham. That's stuff that is going to happen, but hasn't happened yet. When is it going to happen? Whoever goes in and occupies those sites is going to want themselves on the map, and they're going to want themselves on the map as soon as they open. And then all the transport facilities and all the other facilities will want to know, is this going to be an important site when it's finished? It's going to attract a lot of traffic. Do I need to put a bus route on there? Do I need to put a new zebra crossing? All sorts of things. But that relies on a map being accurate and saying, this is now live. It gets worse. Once you come out, you see how much more construction there is going on around in Birmingham. And by the way, this is using OpenStreetMap-based data with a query tool where you can just go into the data and query it and say display absolutely anything you want. If you want to display trees, pharmacies, mosques, traffic lights, we've even put every single traffic sensor induction loop in Birmingham into there so that the City Council can now start showing real-time congestion data. But it's worse than that because those are just the active construction sites where somebody's gone past and has seen some builders working. When you look at the next one, these are all the brownfield sites because Birmingham is an industrial city and most of that industry has gone or is still disappearing. And what happens is, well, I don't want to pay business rates on an empty building, so I just flatten it. So we get a lot of brownfield sites. That will then go through a planning phase, and then we'll eventually go into construction phase, and then we'll eventually become live. So what about the speed of change? Now, this is a real problem. New housing developments, Birmingham, I think, has to create 150,000 new houses in the next 5 years. There's going to be a lot of new housing estates going in. And it's a nightmare for delivery drivers when it's under construction. It's a nightmare for delivery drivers and people who live there when it is constructed because this is a small estate down on the edge of Solihull. You can see there the OpenStreetMap map of it. That was surveyed in June 2016. When you look at Ordnance Survey, yes, they've got the upper part of it, but they're not showing anything going on in the lower part. We haven't managed yet to get in and do the rest of the buildings. But then when you go over to the other end, to Google, it's just a road. There's no houses on there or anything. Now, these are organisations, as I said, that have got billions and a lot of resources. They can't keep up to date because up to date needs a lot of eyes on the ground because there's nothing better than ground surveying. And most of these guys are aggregating data from other sources, which they have to negotiate, they have to pay for, and then they have to integrate it. If we have enough volunteers, and this is the point about crowdsourcing data and where I need your assistance, pairs of eyes on the ground, going out and looking at changes and mapping things are the most powerful weapon that there is in achieving real-time transformation of mapping from a physical space into a digital online. And then we've got this monster appearing. The enabling works for HS2 start this year. So compounds are going to be going in for construction work, streams are going to be diverted, footpaths are going to be diverted, and then we've got 10 years of roads being rebuilt, diverted, and all sorts, let alone the track going in and all the infrastructure that is around there. So the map is going to be changing on a monthly basis once this starts. And that is a huge challenge. And we believe the air model is probably the best adapted to being able to do that in real time. Now, real time is a hard thing to do. We cannot get it down to the minute, so we try to set ourselves a more achievable goal, and it's that any permanent physical changes to the built environment or the transport network on the map the same day as they happen. Now, we're talking about physical changes. We're not talking about ephemeral events like the Christmas market or roadworks. There are other systems for doing that, or temporary diversions. Where it's going to be a long-term diversion, like the Small Heath Bridge has been closed now for something like 8 months while they try and re-strengthen it, it's only allowable for cycle traffic. We think, I haven't brought it up, but we think we're the only ones that show it as cycle-only traffic. Everyone else shows it as a road. You try and put a sat-nav through that and see how frustrated you are when you get there and find that you can't go through it. The same with Hurst Street by the Hippodrome. That's been closed off now for nearly a year, and we don't know when it's going to be reopening. All the roadworks around Paradise Circus, we were able to keep on top of that as the roads changed and as they became open. So that's the goal. Now, we can do it with crowdsourced volunteers, but we can also do it if we persuade enough big organisations that are in the construction industry and they're in planning, such as local authorities and the railway companies, to give us the data as and when they change it. Now, that's an attitude change where they think, I don't want to make this data open. At the moment, all planning documents are copyrighted, so we can't use them. So there's an attitude change there to say, well, can we have planning documents that are open so that we can start to use them? Now, do we want humans to do it, or do we want to automate it? Humans are the best way of doing it, but they're not very scalable because we need a lot of volunteers and we need to maintain their motivation. But they are the most accurate, sometimes. Ground truth is always best. If we can automate via APIs, even better. But our community doesn't like imports because they don't trust the data. And the other one is to have automated collection of images and do image analysis on it, and I'll show you an example of it. And we're at the moment talking to a bus company to see if we can get their dashcam data, which is GPS located, to feed in so that we can start analysing that. And if we could get every bus and every refuse truck that go around every street in Birmingham with dash cams automated with image analysis, we could possibly do it. But that is a huge task to ask those organisations. So several ways forward. We have got a small pilot project going. I'll go through these sites quickly, but we have a Birmingham and real-time small project getting going. It's early days yet, we're not very organised, but that's the guy to contact. And what I want to do now, I'm going to have to put these on. Okay, this is Mapillary, and this is trying to build an open source competitor to Google Street View using crowdsourced photographs from smartphones. I don't know how many billion smartphones there are in the world, but if we get everybody to take one picture as they go to work or they go home, we can then start stitching them together and get something similar to Google Street View. More importantly, we can keep it updated every day rather than having to wait 4 years for the Google truck to come down and take pictures, and then everybody gets frustrated because what you see isn't actually what's on the ground. And if I switch this on, we've started now to be able to spot road signs. So we do an image analysis on these photos to be able to spot road signs, which is important when we want to put speed limits in and turn restrictions. This is taking data out of OpenStreetMap, where we put in building heights and building colours and trying to get shapes in. And this is done by a company in France, and it's real time. You can't actually see it real time because it's dark, but during the day, as the sun moves around, all the shadows track the sun. It's also linked into meteorological data, so when it rains, you see the rain falling down, and when it snows, you see the snow falling down, and when it's misty, you can't see anything. This is something which I find really amazing. This is real-time data of the trains moving in and out of Birmingham. It's been built by Freiburg University. And if you click on a particular train, what it will do is it will tell you which train it is, where it's going to, where it's coming from, what its timetable route is, and where it actually is on the network. Now, that's a bit of a cheat. It's not actually real-time. It's extrapolated from timetable data. But it's not a big leap to be able to take the GPS feeds and actually start to track trains, buses, whatever you want to make it publicly available. Just going back to Mapillary quickly, you can now start to do time analysis because I can go through this and I can see it in different seasons so that you can begin to see what it looks like over time. And I've got one more because I am being flashed here. This is the result of our work with Birmingham City Council, where now we've instrumented the roads of Birmingham, and every single traffic congestion reduction loop is now mapped in collaboration with Birmingham City Council. This is just a test in one day, it's not live. I've taken in the feeds from all those induction loops and then made a route map. And it is their intention, I believe, to allow that data to be opened up, streamed real time, so that you can actually start to do that. But if you're interested in personal navigation, there's a Russian company called Maps.me, which has probably got the best personal sat nav, which now you can switch on traffic congestion and you can get red, yellow and green as to where the traffic congestion, then you can plan your route around that. Can't show it because it's only on mobile devices, and you can edit directly into OpenStreetMap, so it does two things. So, real-time map, is it necessary? Increasingly we live in urban environments and people want to locate things. We're all on mobile devices, there's all sorts of services we need. I think it will become necessary. Whether it's possible or not and how we do it, I don't know. If you don't know, you should try.
Right. Do we have any questions? Any questions? You've all smelt the pizza, haven't you? No one wants to ask a question. Oh, we've got one. I've got one.
I think everyone remembers the issues Apple Maps had a little while ago with incorrect road traffic information. Because you're using volunteers and real people, how do you check the accuracy of the data that's coming in? And what kind of fallout do you see happening if that information's inaccurate?
That's done purely on a wiki basis. That there are people who are very, very passionate about their particular neighbourhood, and you'll see new people coming in and they really don't know what they're doing and they make mistakes and they delete stuff. You'd be surprised how quickly it gets corrected. That there's a lot of eyes looking at the data, and the basic road network is pretty complete. We have reversion tools, so if somebody comes in and starts doing deliberate vandalism, it can be spotted, and we've got a reversion tool that switches it back to what it was before. And we've also got another nasty trick where somebody is a real pest. We just put them into a sandbox and all their edits go there, and they think they're editing the real map, but they're not, it's just dumped. So we have methods of doing that, but it's surprising how little vandalism we have. The new person who's not doing it, they soon get up and the community supports them, and we've got lots of channels of communication, and the map very quickly gets improved. But test it out, see how accurate it is. Some areas are much better than others. If you have a really active local community, it will be fantastically accurate and insanely detailed. Other areas where it might not be quite so good. We're fortunate in the West Midlands that we have got a very active and passionate local community, so the data here is pretty accurate, but I'm willing to be proved wrong, and then we can go and correct it.
Thank you.
Just got one at the back.
Hi, Pauline Roach from our organisation. I'd just like to say how great OpenStreetMap is, because unlike other map services that you're aware of, it doesn't try and sell you anything. They're not, when you look up restaurants or cafes or other facilities, banks that you might want, it just gives you what's there. It doesn't say one is better than another, so it lets you use your own judgment. It's a fantastic international community of people contributing to a service that's free and uses open data, which, as you know, I'm keen about. So I can't speak too highly of it. And if anyone's interested in getting involved, Brian is a great advocate. I can't speak again too highly of him. And you learn a lot if you do nothing else, but you're contributing to making it a better world for everybody. So please get involved.
That's the sort of question I like.
Any more?
Oh my goodness.
Run a question roll now.
How widespread is the mapping information? Is it just sort of the Birmingham area, or does it extend further?
The entire planet.
the entire planet?
The entire planet. And I believe there's also a daughter project that is attempting to map Mars and the Moon.
There's another.
What's Ordnance Survey's perspective on this? Have they got involved at all, or they just look down on it? Or
it's a tricky relationship because of the way they're set up by the government. They're forced to earn money from data which we believe that we've already paid for as taxpayers. It's an arm's length relationship. Most of their data has to be paid for, but they were quite opposed initially, but as they saw the map building and getting momentum and getting more and more detailed, they started releasing huge tranches of data as open data. So now we've got a good working relationship with them. They'll keep the crown jewels to themselves, so the highly detailed maps that civil engineers and highway engineers need that go down to centimetre level detail, you'll always have to pay for those. We're not attempting to do that. We're just attempting to give an online resource which is good enough for most mobile applications and most web applications, and for community groups and organisations who want to make their own maps. So there'll always be a place for national mapping agencies at that level of detail. We're attempting to do something different. Eventually the two models might merge. We just don't know where that's going.